let's go get in a fist fight. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part that I like. You know what I mean? And especially when you're competing often, like with me, like I fought, you know, I had just fought at the end of August.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, I was only out for like a month. And it's good, man. I think that the more you compete, the more comfortable you get in there. And that's when shit starts to open up.
Do you think it's better in your early UFC run being active? Do you think it's good to get the fights under your belt as fast as you can, or do you think...
I think that we've seen this a lot with where good fighters are extremely active, and then like people start, you know, they have a lot of success.
Yeah.
For example, like Kevin Holland is like, he's like a good fighter, but he was fighting so often that, you know, he was able to, you know, have some success. You know, he beat a Jacare Souza. You know, he had some good fights. I think that, and now that like he's not fighting as often, he's kind of slid back a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that there is definitely something to being active, staying in the gym, you know, staying busy.
I wanted to talk about your coaching as well, Daniel Gracie, down in Philadelphia, because I don't know if you know, but a couple of months ago I spoke with your teammate Pat Sabatini.
Very nice.
Yeah, there's you four, isn't there? If memory serves, yourself, Pat, Sean Brady, and Jeremiah, who are now all in the UFC, undefeated 9-0. But you guys don't really seem to get the credit or the love that you perhaps deserve.
It's about time someone started recognizing. Yeah, man, fucking. They fight on the 20th, so we're right now. We're 7-0 with 6 finishes in the UFC. In our last 7 fights, it was like a little over a year, and you know, Jeremiah knocked out in his debut. Pat Sabatini's 2-0 with 2 finishes. Sean Brady, I think, is finished 2 of his last 3, and I finished my 2. So, yeah, man, like our team's making waves. I don't know any other team in the country that's doing that. Even the big camps, even, you know, the American top teams, the AKAs, like I don't see anyone else going 7-0 with 6 finishes.
It's incredibly impressive. And I do want to touch on Sean, because Sean's the one who's ranked out of U4, and he's in a massive fight with Chiesa in what is quite a similar style matchup. How do you, obviously you're going to be leading towards Sean, but how do you see this fight between Brady and Chiesa playing out?
I think that when I watch Chiesa, like Chiesa has very good jiu-jitsu, right? But he's not as positionally strong as Sean, whereas Sean will never get into a bad position. He's a very good smash passer. He's got very good pressure on top. And Chiesa is more of like scrambles. He's a little bit more slick, but I think that, you know, the worst matchup for a jiu-jitsu guy like Chiesa that's like more slick is a guy that's just going to pressure and pass and smash. And, you know, I personally like the Chiesa matchup better for Sean than the Kevin Lee matchup. I think that Chiesa is a great matchup for Sean. If Sean can beat Chiesa, his next matchup will be very interesting. I think that, like, you know, Li Jingling, that's how you say it, Li Jingling, or even like a Leon Murphy. I think like those are the 2 matchups that he should be trying to get.
Yeah, 100%. I want to talk about your time on The Ultimate Fighter. Obviously, you were coached by Brian Ortega and his team, and obviously you came up short in the show. But how do you think your experience on The Ultimate Fighter prepared you for now this early success in the UFC itself?
Yeah. Obviously, like everything had to change when it came to strength and conditioning after my semifinal. And it did kind of before. I went on the show, like I started doing more cardio and less like weightlifting, but I still was doing my conditioning wrong. Like I was doing short sprints, like sprinting a mile rather than doing like distance. Like I need more long distance type conditioning. And I really fell in love with this Aerodyne, the assault bike or road bike. And that has become like my saving grace when it comes to conditioning. So yeah, I actually just partnered up with a company called True Grit, and they make they have the self-propelled treadmill. It's called the Runner, and they have the assault bike. But yeah, those two pieces of equipment are tremendous when it comes to conditioning for fighting, especially the bike.
I don't know if this is a phrase that's used in America, but we have a phrase for someone who is extremely, extremely muscle bound. It's called built like a brick shit house. I don't know if you've ever heard that. Have you ever heard that phrase?
Yeah, I have.
Is that a phrase that you guys use over in the States or not?
I think it's very appropriate for the situation.
I was going to say more. It's very appropriate when characterizing you, because you are the definition of built like a brick shit house, Andre. I
appreciate that.
What's the secret? I don't want to say the magic sauce, but what's the secret to all them muscles?
Dude, I've honestly and people have always like, oh, he's on steroids, blah blah blah. Like I've been built like this since I was 16 years old. You know what I mean? Like I've always lifted weights heavy, and I've always been like this physique. I've always been just like a stocky, thick, guy. Even when I was wrestling, I was like even when I cut down and make weight, like I'm still thick. You know what I mean? But my dad was a power lifter, so we spent many of hours in the weight room growing up.
Do you feel like you're one of them people who can just naturally put on muscle? Because I'm not. I'm 5'9". I'm quite a small guy. I struggle to put it on. Are you one of them people who's just got good genetics when it comes to muscle building?
Yeah, for sure. And I also enjoy like lifting weights. Like I enjoy being in the weight room. Obviously, I don't do it as much as I used to, just because so much focus has been on the conditioning aspect more so now.
Yeah.
But like I'll get back to it. You know what I mean? It's just, I think it's all like a learning experience and trying to find that happy balance between strength and conditioning.
Of course. Well, I want to turn the conversation back to your career in the UFC, and I'll ask you plainly, I'll ask you bluntly, when do you want to get back on the Octagon, and is there a, maybe not a specific opponent, but an area of the rankings, an area of the division that you look at and you want to push into?
Yes, I would like to. If they call me in November, I'll fight. Like I told Mick, and Mick knows, like, look, if something falls through, he knows who to call. He knows that I can make weight in 24 hours. He knows that, I'm going to show up and get it and be professional and get a job done. That's like, that type of like reliability isn't as common as you would think, especially in this sport. I'm sure I wasn't the first person that they called about this last fight. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I was the first person that said yes, that had a passport, that had his medicals done, that could make weight in 1 week, and said, fuck it, let's go to Abu Dhabi. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I mean, if you really want to fight, like, there's fights out here. You know what I mean? Like, and I love fighting. You know what I mean? I really want to fight. So if they call me and say, hey, November 20th, you got 2 teammates already on the card, you want to fight? Like, I'll fight. Like, I'm going to go. I love fighting. A lot of these dudes, man, I feel like they just want to be called, like, they just want to be UFC fighters, but they don't really, like, want to fight. They got to have an 8-week camp, or everything's got to be right. It's got to be the perfect matchup. Like, I don't know.
Well, I'll leave you with one final question, and this is a question I love to ask people after they've come off a big victory, after they've come off a fight. we're in the beginning of November 2021 now, a time of recording. Where would you like to be come the 1st of November 2022? What do you want to accomplish in the next 12 months in your MMA career?
I want to get in the rankings. I want to get ranked. I want to get a big fight. I want to get a big fight. I want to make money. I want to make a lot of money, and I want to get big fights. Hell yeah.
That's do you feel like staying active is a what would the word be, a gateway, if you like, to getting the opportunities that you want? Shortcut?
Yeah, man. Like with any company, whether it's fighting or not, if you continue to show up and produce for them, like the opportunities are going to come. They're going to take care of you.
Yeah, the UFC do love people who can stay reliable and who they, listen. You said that yourself. You probably weren't the first person they called, but it must be very frustrating if they make several phone calls and people say no. So, that the UFC do love someone who they know they can call and the answer is going to be yes, as you say.
Yeah. No doubt, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I very much enjoyed watching you fight last week, and very much thank you for your time this weekend.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Before we finish, Andre, how can people find you on social media? Andre Petroski on Instagram and Petroski Andre on Twitter. And for one final question, I give this opportunity to everyone. Anything you want to say? Sign off with sponsors you want to plug. The floor is yours. Yeah. Check out November 20th. Pat Sabatini and Sean Brady are fighting. We're looking to take the team's record to 9-0. So tune in and shout out to Henzo Gracie Philly. Perfect.